Now we'll be looking at display rules and drawings, and we'll be talking about some best practices. I strongly recommend when you're working with display rules and drawings, if possible, to do a test in a small file. It's just faster, and to even make it super fast is do it in a local file that has a drawing and a sheet in with the model, so you can quickly be jumping back and forth. You could even be adjusting the display rule in the drawing as you're looking at different colors or transparencies and things like that, because you will want to be looking at whatever you're doing with the rule. How does it look in a white background versus a gray background and things like that? So it's just a quicker way to work. We recommend you store your display rules in Dgn libraries. So if you create any rules in this local test file, you can import them in the Dgn libraries and then create new display styles and link them there, and then everyone on the project team will see them. And it's a good idea to have the display rules linked to a display style that some have like a hint of what the rule is, like the word halftone or architecture halftone or something that you know that that's what the rule is. No pun intended. It could be unruly if you start having a lot of drawing types for plan sections that have forward cut reflected views, that you want to have them all standard, that you know which ones have the rules in. And most of all, you want to be testing the output before you're going into production to make sure that it's plotting correctly. You might have ICS that needs some configuration, or you might be using pen tables or DWG. Just before you start any new type of workflow, if you haven't worked with the display rules and drawings, you want to be testing it before going to plot like a project deadline or something like that. So what we're going to be looking at is the delivered training model that we have, and we're going to be creating HVAC drawings with all the architectural models halftone, and we're going to be using the new wildcard to do this. Now, we were always able to do halftones, but it was more like an all or nothing cut. You could do a reference file, but it wasn't getting into the nested reference files that we rely on heavily in OpenBuildings Designer. So the new wildcards will be doing that for us. So starting off here in the model, we'll just be seeing that we do have references. So we have a core that's referenced into the floor plan. We have the mechanical reference in, so we're in like a kind of a small drawing composition model that we'll be using the rule on. So just going to display styles and jumping into create a rule. So the new rule we're going to be creating, just going to call it wildcard. Not too descriptive, but you can change it later when you put it in your Dgn library, or at any time you can go in and just change what the rule is. So we're going to go in and pick from the pick list of properties, go to reference, and then you go to attachment, and you'll see all the different types of reference attachments. In our project, all the architectural files begin with AA. So the new quantifier here in the condition editor is like. So you do AA asterisk. So it's like AA. Why? Because we like it. I'm not sure why it's like, but that's the only way it works if you have like there. And they're going to go in and change the color of what the architectural halftone will be. You can make it transparent if you want. We're just making it gray. And then just attaching it, just a quick test. I'm going to the white wireframe, attaching the wildcard link, and just doing a quick. Oh, wow, look, okay. All those references for architecture, they're all screened. And then change that back to none. And then if I go in to look at this was the default drawing settings that we had from the forward and the cut and reflected views. We'll be changing the presentation of that once we have the rule linked to a new display style, or to a display style. In this case, we do it kind of quick. So we're just going to go ahead and go to cut drawing and add that wildcard rule to it. And I'm going to go to forward drawing. This is just a test, okay? This is not going to be the real production way I'm doing it. This is the quick and dirty way to make sure it works. Then go to forward view, so they both have the wildcard on there. And now if we go to the drawing, . So I didn't make a new display style. I was just adding the rule to the existing cut and forward view. So you'll see that it automatically did that update for us, that everything now is halftone or screen or really gray for the architectural backgrounds. But now what we want to do is take that rule that we created and import it into a Dgn library. So you probably already have a project Dgn library. I'm just going to go into show you to make a new one in your Workset Standards folder, Dgn Library. And it's going to be a dgn.lib, and you'll see there's some in this training example for display styles. You want to start with the word display styles. Underbar, I'm just going to call it PROJXYZ. And you can be making rules directly here, but it's good to just do a quick test, I think. So we're just going to go ahead and show how to do a quick one here, just test. And if you go in to do test and go to click on condition for the new, from the pull down, whoa, where's references? Well, you need a reference file attached to this for the condition editor to actually get it, to get the hook in there. So you have to attach a reference file for it to work, and then you got to remember to detach it. You don't want reference files attached in your Dgn libraries. You want to keep those clean. So we're just attaching it. So now when you go to the pull down, it works. If you're going to make one here, voila, there it is. But I'm going to go ahead and delete that one test because I have a better way to do it, which was going to my importing my one that I created. So if I go to import from my display rule test Dgn, you'll see it'll bring in wildcard. And I'm going to go in and rename wildcard. So this will be architecture, halftone, and then AA on the rule. That means it's just a wildcard on AA. You might have halftones that are AA and AS for architectural and structural, just so it's just kind of think of a way that you could remember, or you could explain to people what you've done, what you've made. So I'm making a copy of the cut drawing display style. And I'm just putting an underbar in front of it, and then I'm putting in the one for the forward. You'd want to do one for the backward view too. I don't think I do it on this one, but and then I like to make just a display style that will work in views as well. So I'm taking just the wireframe and just having a quick underbar. That one will have a display rule set to it too. And then this is where you're going to go in and link the rules. And I'm going to add /cut drawing. You can't see me typing here, but it's going to be the naming of architectural halftone AA. And then I could just cut and paste that and put that on those on the forward and reflected. And just make sure you have that rule attached, because whatever the last rule you attach to a display style, it will keep it in the Dgn library. So you want to be aware that the AAs are all linked to the display styles that have the AA on it. And then we could test it with that wireframe display. So I don't have any mechanical in here right now. I'm just making sure that the architecture is all working together. And then you got to remember to detach the reference when you're in that Dgn library. And then you need to get out of the file when you're done. You need to restart so it will pull that Dgn library that you just made. So now I'm jumping back into my mechanical drawing composition model, and I already have some drawings in here. And from the pick list, you'll see that There's the wireframe. And there is a little switch to let you decide if you want to display styles in the model or in a dynamic, in a clip volume. So that's where most of the ones you see are in the display only. So I'm going into the plan view. So this was the one that was the default on this ground floor, and go into display styles and then change the forward and the cut view to our architecture halftone AA. And then reload that. And there you have it. And then just jump into another plan that was created differently. If you're not familiar with mechanical, we have drawing rules that in this particular drawing, we were doing the single line of the HVAC system. And you'll see it's doing the automatic annotation. And you could be turning off the grid if you want. And we're going to go in and also switch to the new forward and cut views, and then push those back into the save view by clicking on the update save view button, and then do a reload. So there you have it. And you'll see that, we can also, I made a new role here in this screenshot of architecture halftone, but I made it AS. So we have structural if you're doing a section through and you'd want all the structure and the architecture halftoned. I copied the rule and added structural. Now, since we can do this without having to reference backgrounds, if you went through the training for mechanical, we would take an architectural screen background from the architects and reference and that as a background and put the 2D single line or double line HVAC on top of it. But now that we can cut through it, screen out all the architecture through a section or through a plan at once, we can take advantage of the architectural rules that would number. A lot of times MEP drawings, you don't want the room name or any other descriptions about the room, you just want the number. So this does give the opportunity for other disciplines to have their own room or space automatic annotation show up in their drawing. So we'd be making an MEP space label, and that will allow you to link it to the rule. Now, one thing that is different, I warn you about doing this, is that for it to see the space, it has to cut below the ceiling and above the floor. So to get the space in here, so I've added a cut back view, and then we're adding the MEP space label just to these mechanical drawings. So when you go to produce them, you're getting room numbers that are showing up that mechanical can move around. If you reference in architectural with room numbers, you can't move them around. So it's just a suggested new workflow that we could use for drawing with the new wildcard.
If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. If you want to see more such series, consider subscribing to our channel. Thank you, and see you next time.